Hey guys, Dan here, back on the Zoom. We've got Tim over there. Hello, Tim.
Hi, everybody.
It's time once again for Dan Does Disney. And last week we had a live uh, cast with Sword in the Rose, but we're back on Zoom this week. Probably going between the two. I was telling Joe last night, who does the big animated features, it's going to be you and me for a while, Tim.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of the live actioners, and this one is specifically interesting because it's the first of the live action documentaries. And we're still in 1953. We did Peter Pan from 53, Sword in the Rose from 53, and now Walt is doing the documentaries as well. This is the very first one of them from the True Life Adventure series. And Tim always does the research, at least as far as Wikipedia is concerned. So a lot of this stuff Tim will already know, I guess. But it was released in 1953 to $2.6 million at the U.S. box office, $4 to $5 million worldwide, on just a $300,000 budget. So this was definitely, something that was a big success, especially after Sword in the Rose. We talked about that
Yeah.
last week, about what a failure basically that was for the studio. And in Japan, it actually broke the box office record. Their highest grossing film was Gone with the Wind to this point, but the big Living Desert documentary blew the doors off of the place. And we should say up front here that this is available on Disney Plus.
Yep.
Just kind of added to the lineup, I guess.
Yeah.
You were saying
The last
last
month.
week. Yeah, because we checked when we were first doing these over Zoom to how many were available, and this one and the other documentaries were not. And you had said, Tim, what, all but one of these is available?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a true life adventure, but it is one of the documentaries I did. I forget which one it was. It was filmed in Canada, though.
Okay. So there's basically before this, there was shorts for the True Life Adventure series that led from 48 through 53. And then from 53 to 60, there were no shorts. They were all feature length documentaries, seven from each version. There were seven of the shorts, seven of the feature length. So we'll cover all of the feature length ones if we're able to. Five of the shorts won Oscars. Three of the full lengths won Oscars. This is one of the ones that won an Oscar. We were talking last week with Sword in the Rose. That was kind of Walt's big prestige pick. He was hoping for that to win an Oscar, or at least get nominated for Best Picture, and that was not to be. But he won one for this, and in fact, he won more Oscars rather in 1 year than anyone ever had. He won four total that year. He won this for Best Documentary, and he won all three of the short subjects that year, which was Toot, Whistle, Plunk, and Boom, which is the first cartoon actually to be filmed and released in widescreen CinemaScope. So that kind of makes sense. That would win for Best Animated Short that year. Then you have The Alaskan Eskimo for documentary short, which for some reason wasn't part of the True Life Adventure series. It was part of the People and Places series that Disney was doing. I have to look into these shorts a little more. Tim, I have most of these on the Disney, like the Treasures DVD collections. And a lot of these, like the nature shorts, a lot of these are on some of these discs. So, I don't think we need to necessarily review all of them, but it might be interesting at some point to just kind of look at some of them.
Yeah.
And so he also won Bear Country, which was the short subject, which was part of the True Life Adventure series. So that was one of the last short, I guess, he won for there. And that ran before Peter Pan that same year. So that was sort of the double feature there. Now, I'm sure you probably saw a lot of that stuff, Tim, on Wiki. Did you
I
happen?
don't have that much information. Some of that was new.
Okay. Okay. Well, did you happen to see if that feat had ever been repeated, winning four Oscars in 1 year?
I did not look to see if that was. I just know that there's certain movies that do the sweep, which is win the four main
Yeah.
Oscars, but not necessarily going to the same person.
Okay. So this has never been beaten. No one has ever won five Oscars in a single year, but it has been tied. and it has been tied in the last decade or so. Can you think of what person might have won 4 Oscars in one year?
Someone for maybe writing and directing and Best Picture. Was it Parasite just recently?
Actually, yes, it was just this year. It was Bong Joon-ho won 4 Oscars this year for all those things that you said, plus the international film.
Oh yeah,
Foreign
you
film.
won foreign film. Yeah, so
So yeah, no one's ever beaten Walt, but yeah, it's interesting that we're talking about this year.
Roma was pretty close to that, wasn't it? Because didn't that
Yeah, but it didn't win.
Didn't win Best Picture?
It didn't win Best Picture, and I think it didn't win for writing, did it?
Did it? I'm not sure. I just know it was up for a bunch.
Yeah, it definitely won foreign and director, but or it did win director, right? Alfonso Cuarón won director.
Maybe, I forget. I just know it didn't.
I think it did, but anyway, yeah. But he didn't win 4, so this is the first time in what 67 years that that someone has tied at least Walt Disney's record there. So that I thought was kind of interesting. So when this was originally released, it was released with another informational short called Ben and Me. It was all about Benjamin Franklin, a 21-minute short, which is available on these Disney Treasure DVDs. So I'll have to find that at some point. And this was a popular enough series, this true life thing, that it became a daily comic strip from 1955 to 1973. And parts of these movies were turned into different educational films. So 3 parts of this movie were turned into educational films distributed to schools, and that came in 1974. In 71, this was re-released into theaters as a double bill with The Vanishing Prairie, which is, I think, the next one in the set. Yeah. And then in 1975, the studio released what they called the best of Walt Disney's true life adventures, and it took parts of 13 of the 14 movies or shorts in the True Life Adventure series and kind of put them together. So a lot of the stuff, obviously, from probably the Oscar-winning ones included. And they did release all of these on DVD in 2006. They had the Walt Disney Legacy Collection. This was on volume 2 of that, but those have long gone out of print. So in the last, say, decade, you could get this from iTunes, you could get this from Amazon Prime, and now just in the last month or 2, you can get it on Disney Plus. So the background basically for this is that it was inspired by this 10-minute short film with footage shot by this dude, N. Paul Kenworthy, who was at the University of California at the time, UCLA. And basically it was a tarantula and a wasp, and that kind of inspired Walt to turn that into not only one of his true life adventures, but the first feature-length one. And before that, RKO was always the distributor for these films. We see when we watch, Cinderella or any of the Make Mine Music, any of those all have the RKO label up front. But this was the first time that he struck out on his own with Buena Vista Pictures. RKO was not interested in doing these nature things. They were like not really feeding into the whole idea of feature-length nature movies. So because of that, Disney created Buena Vista Pictures, which was named after the street that the studio was on or whatever. And Buena Vista was a very popular method of delivering Disney movies, to when we were kids. It's not really around anymore, but yeah, you remember all those.
Yeah.
So this was the very first one.
Sister Act is on Disney Plus. I think that was a Buena Vista.
Yes, Sister Act is Buena Vista. Yeah, a lot of the 80s and 90s, sort of more like adult. Because is this right? PG-13? It might be PG, but I don't know. There's a lot of gunplay in it.
Yeah,
I don't remember. But yeah. So
when I thought of Sister Act, I didn't think of it as a Disney movie, but
right.
Technically, I guess it is, right?
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Because you can get it from Disney Movie Club. And when I found out Whoopi was part of the Disney Legends, they nominate every year a handful of people that have done Disney work. I was like, what Disney stuff has she even done, really, other than the 90s TV version of Alice in Wonderland? and because of basically Sister Act, that's
And
what kind.
she did a voice in The Lion King.
Oh, that's right. Yep, she did a voice in The Lion King, and I guess, I mean, if you want to get technical, The View is on ABC, and that's owned by Disney, but I don't think they're really picking legends from The View. But anyway, yeah, like, so Buena Vista was real big when we were kids, and RKO actually went out of business just a few years after this. Anyway, I think it was 1957 or something that they went belly up. So
I think the next movie that we do, which is Rob Roy, I think that's the last Disney movie that was released by RKO.
That was RKO. Okay, that would make sense because I think Lady and the Tramp, which is the next animated one, I think that was right after they were bankrupt. So yeah, that makes sense. So anyway, this also went hand in hand with some of the Disney rides. You're a big Disney park guy. So the Living Desert apparently is one of 4 of the true life adventures that sort of influenced the scenery and the content of Mine Train through Nature's Wonderland, which now is known as Big Thunder Mountain Railroad.
Okay.
So yeah, this is one of 4. I couldn't figure out what the other 3 were. I couldn't find that information anywhere. But.
I think Epcot has a lot of rides that are kind of about the environment and stuff like that.
That makes sense. It is kind of a tour around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd have some of that stuff. So what else? That's pretty much all I got about the background and sort of the legacy of the True Life adventure series. So let's get into this specific movie itself, The Living Desert. Tim's going to tell us about this film.
Okay, well, it's narrated by Winston Hibler, and it starts off with the written script, just like something that you can read, and it says, it's a drama as old as time itself, but seldom seen by human eyes. Nature sets the stage and provides the actors. Only through the endless patience of skilled photographers has it been possible to view this strange and unusual world. I don't know if all of them start that way, but I felt like that was a good description of what people were getting into. I don't know if people were really used to feature-length documentaries about nature at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is probably like the first one. I mean, obviously now they have the Disney Nature series that they started in 2007, so every year we get one, and obviously with things like National Geographic Channel and Wild Animal Kingdom that ABC ran for years and years. I mean, we're a lot more used to it today. But yeah, other than like the shorts, I don't know. I would imagine this is probably the first, which is why RKO didn't want to do it, the first of the full-length nature movies.
Yeah. So that's basically describing what true life adventure is. I don't know if that paragraph is in front of all of them, but this one is, at first glance, one might see little more than just stone and sand, but the desert is alive. Witness moving rocks, spitting mud pits, and gorgeous flowers as you venture into the never-ending battle for survival between the North American desert creatures of various shapes, size, and cuteness.
And it's true. Some of them are very cute, and some of them are not.
Yes. So that's basically the synopsis here. You get to see some pretty epic battles between multiple creatures. Some of the one that you pointed out, the tarantula and the wasp, which I imagine they just recycled that footage. But
yeah, that's probably my guess.
That is probably the one scene that this movie is known for the most, because I think I've seen that scene before without even watching this movie, like with YouTube and stuff like that, and like just with a quick search of tarantula versus wasp, that clip comes up.
I wonder if we saw. I mean, you're a bit younger than me, but I wonder if we saw some of these in the chopped up form in school, like on the, remember the film strips where it would like beep and the teacher would have to change it to the next slide or whatever. I don't know. Like what I read, that almost all of these features were sort of divvied up into little clips for education purposes. I probably saw some. I mean, if they started doing that in '74, I mean, I grew up in the '80s, so it's very likely I saw a lot of this stuff before.
Then one of the other big epic ones is between a rattlesnake and a red-tailed hawk, which was pretty awesome. And then you have other ones. You have the kangaroo rat versus the sidewinder snake. You have ground squirrels versus the Gila monster. You have two tortoises squaring off for mating purposes. I found a fun fact. This movie is very educational. Things that I never.
Very educational.
And I tend to know a lot about animals more so than you.
Much more than me.
That I found myself learning stuff, and it was very interesting. I was not aware that tortoises make their own water by eating plants, and then they store it. And then so do the kangaroo rats. They don't really need water, and that makes perfect sense since these are very desert animals.
Did you pick on something that was not true, some misinformation? Because there was one thing that I was like, I really don't think that's true, so I had to look it up.
No. What was
when they were talking about the millipedes, the guy was like, "Oh, that means 1,000 feet, and count them, because they really have them or something." And I was like, I really don't think they have 1,000 feet. Like that's just what they're called, and they have several hundred legs, but not 1,000. So I didn't like that. They were lying to the children on that one, but I assume everything else is correct.
There's a wild pig, desert pig. It's called a peccary or something like that. Peccary.
Yeah.
The Bobcat, which I thought that had some humor in it. There was Cody Mundy, which I've never heard of. It's kind of like a raccoon type of desert animal. And he's a thief just like the raccoon is.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, so I thought it started off with the moving rocks, which I thought was interesting. I never heard of that.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. The moving rock. I think that was a good one to start with too, because it really gets you right into having that, and then followed by the mud, the bubbling up mud.
I thought the mud went on a little too long. I thought at first it was a little cute, but it did go on a little too long.
Pretty attention grabbing though.
Yeah, it was. The flowers,
the rocks.
Flowers at the end were very beautiful. And then, I mean, the pocket mouse, the ground squirrels, and the kangaroo rats were super cute.
Yeah.
I felt emotionally connected to them. I wanted them to survive. And I found out the Roadrunner is just a jerk, which kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Who knew that? You. I mean, I always root for the coyote because he's funny, but who knew Roadrunners actually suck?
Yeah, and the animated Roadrunner, he's somewhat kind of a jerk, but he's more of a lovable, funny jerk than just. And the scenery for a desert could be quite stunning and beautiful. The movie basically shows us daytime, nighttime, and early morning time of different animals that survive during that, and they kind of focus on one animal here, and then they keep moving on. The narrator injects some humor. I think some of it works and some of it doesn't.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. Let's stop there.
The one I thought was very bad was the scorpion square dance.
Yes, it's like they're playing a hoedown music while the owl kind of bobs his head to the beat, and it's like, come on, that was so silly. But then I thought some of the humor worked, and we see that all the time now with the Disney nature movies.
Yeah,
they always try to get kind of funny people to do it. Tina Fey does one, and John C. Reilly does one, so they inject a little humor into it. What I thought I wrote something that was kind of fun. I liked when he was they were talking about the squirrels. And he was like, well, if this is the initiation, somebody forgot to give him the password. I actually like that part. That kind of stuff was okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they did the
some made me chuckle. But I mean, certain things made me chuckle, and that was more of the footage that they caught than his narration. Like The
Yeah.
the Bobcat falling off the cactus I thought was kind of funny.
Oh my God. I literally, you know me and cats, I love them. When he
Yeah.
fell off that, I was like, oh God, like I was really worried something bad was going to happen to him. But then he just went back up to a different one. But yeah, but there were, there were a couple like, oh my God moments I thought in this,
Yeah.
since they've shown all the fights.
Like just capturing some of this footage, like for the 1950s, I thought is just amazing in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, and there were like a couple times there were like some jerky camera movements to like get something else that was going on, but like I feel like that's to be expected because it's not like today where there's like 8 different cameras set up all over the place.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, but yeah, I mean you really get up close and personal with a lot of these creatures.
And you gotta think that like right now, like most documentary footage that they're using for Disney Nature, it's probably digital cameras opposed to
Yeah,
film cameras.
right. That's true. They're using film cameras, probably on tripods. Like they're probably setting up shop in the desert as opposed to right today. It's like all very handheld and small. And yeah, you're right about that. Yeah. What else did I? Oh, the like the little things that you see going on in the dirt or the sand, like when the rattlesnake was like moving and you saw the imprints that he was making in the sand. I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah, the Sidewinder. Yeah.
Yeah, Sidewinder, and it was similar, I guess, to the motif when we saw the moving rocks, in the front. But yeah, just the attention to detail that these cameras were able to catch was just phenomenal. Certainly for the time,
Yeah.
but I would say even for now, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them re-release it now as part of their Disney Nature, and
Yeah.
maybe the picture isn't as crisp or anything like that. Maybe get a different narrator and take out the hoedown scorpion thing. And
So bad.
I think other than that, that's probably like the one flaw of it.
Yeah. Well, you're right though. I mean, like the interesting thing about a documentary like this is that it doesn't really change that much over time. I
No.
mean, unless you're talking about, like maybe penguins and stuff because of like, global warming, like that may change things. But certainly like a desert, I feel like 70 years ago is no different than today with the kind of creatures that are in there. So I completely agree. I think, it makes sense that they kind of chopped this up and gave it to schools in the 70s or sold it to schools or whatever. You didn't mention the scariest part to me, which was the army ants trying to murder that wasp. That was like, I did not care for that. That really freaked me out.
Yeah, there were some bugs and stuff like that.
Yeah, don't care for it, Tim. It's part of nature.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary.
But for every creepy crawly, they had a good section of kangaroo rat. So that was probably
they did.
The kangaroo rat was pretty good.
Yeah, they had a good balance. I definitely liked the kangaroo rats. They were very cute. I thought the bobcat was cute.
Yeah.
I didn't like when he was in peril, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, this certainly to me, especially with injecting some humor into it, having the music sort of be in line with what was happening. Like towards the end, they had like drip drops off like blades of grass and stuff, and it went with the orchestral music. Like I think this clearly is the template for the nature movies that we see even today.
Yeah, I mean, today I feel like the Disney nature movies that they're doing now, they try to tell a story of like one family of
That's true.
animal. Like they'll do even if they're doing multiple animals, they kind of follow the same family of animals. Like
Right. That's true.
Like the panda one, it wasn't panda, it's just pandas. I think it was like I forget what it was called, but it was like Asian animals, and they had pandas, and I think they had like some type of cat, like maybe snow leopards or something like that for the mountains.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
3 of them, but then like Like I feel like they had the dolphin one or something like that, and they just kind of followed the dolphin. I mean, I feel like the first couple of ones they had oceans and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
the
which
first two were
sounds like this one. But the later ones, I feel like they're like they even give them names. They're like, here's Bobby and Timmy, and like
yeah.
they're like we follow the monkey family around, and like we see them grow up, which is a good story. I feel like for kids these days, I feel like they kind of need that a little bit because I feel like this movie's great. It's educational, but if you sit a 5-year-old down in front of this, they're going to be bored out.
Yeah, you're right about that, and maybe that is why they threw in the silly hoedown music, or try to inject some humor into it, because it is the first time they've done a feature like this. So maybe they didn't know how people were going to react unless they did that stuff. But then I think because of that, it sort of got ingrained in the DNA of the nature documentary.
Yeah, and
for better or worse.
That's me thinking of like a 5-year-old today. Like I don't know, 5-year-olds in 1950s, they might have eaten this up a little bit as well, because there's not as much media out there to begin with. Like there's one full-length animated movie every like 2 years at this point, and that's
right.
basically what they get shorts, and then they go see movies that aren't appropriate for them as well. So
well, that's true, and don't forget, traveling around the world wasn't as easy in the 50s, wasn't it too? So even adults, I would imagine, have never seen most of these animals. They had, I mean, maybe there was some nature shows on TV, but they certainly wouldn't have been shot like this.
No, I understand completely why it made a lot of money in the 1950s.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, so let's grade this thing. What do you think? I mean, I really, it's definitely a high quality movie. I think this is the best that I've seen on Dan Does Disney since Cinderella. It's definitely better than Peter Pan or Alice in Wonderland. It's better than the last couple live action ones that you and I did. I mean, I feel like, this is like in the A minus kind of range. If you take down the scorpion part with the hoedown music, which really sticks out like a sore thumb. Like if they sprinkled that kind of thing throughout, okay, but they don't really.
No, I mean there's humor, but that was probably the most like over the top. I feel like the only other sequence that was kind of like that was the mud pit, like with the music.
The very beginning.
But that was different type of music. That was kind of orchestra music, and like cute, like stuff like that. So I feel like that was the only other sequence that was like that, but it wasn't as blatantly over the top.
Yeah, and the reversing of the video. So you see, the owl's head bobbing with itself. Like, come on, that was lame. Oh, and we didn't talk about before I hear your grade. We didn't talk about what really starts the movie after that paragraph is the classic
classic magic paintbrush.
Walt loves it.
That's how we start the movie. There's a magic paintbrush. It paints the desert and the landscape. They kind of use that as like entering the desert. They go back to it a little bit here and there in the first couple like minutes or so. But then after that, you kind of completely forget about it.
Yeah. I'm glad I wrote it down, because I kind of did forget about it, because it doesn't involve itself at all in the remainder of the movie. But
I mean, it would have been nice if it was featured a little bit more during the movie, just to make a little bit more sense in the beginning.
It kind of sticks out because of that, just like the scorpions thing, because it is only incorporated once. But I don't know. I mean, it's certainly a groundbreaker. What are you thinking for a grade?
I think if you were watching it today, with the scorpion dance, I would probably give it a B+.
Okay.
For its time, I would give it an A-.
Okay. I think for its time, I'm going to give it an A. Just because I I think it's something extraordinarily unique. He really, went out on a limb here with the full-length feature bit, just like he did with Snow White. But God, that scorpion thing just kind of kills the A plus for.
That's why I'm from
Yeah.
A minus.
All right. I mean, an A minus is certainly fine for this movie. There's no doubt about that. All right. So the next one is what, the Magic Prairie or something?
That is the next documentary.
The Vanishing Prairie.
Next movie that we're doing is Rob Roy, the Highland Rogue.
Yes, Rob Roy, the Highland Rogue, starring our good friend, right? Isn't it the same guy from
Richard Todd? He did the last two movies, Robin Hood and Sword and the Rose.
Yeah.
And
what a guy.
Yeah.
It's Bobby Driscoll in it. You watched it today. I haven't seen it yet.
No, Bobby Driscoll's not in it. It has basically the main cast from the last
movie.
that's
right. We talked about that. It's the same exact cast and crew, basically, from Sword in the Rose. So I guess we'll hit on that a little more next time. But all right. Well, thanks so much for joining, Tim.
We'll see you all next time.
Bye.